and attend 666 Custom Night. In the good old days where all we figured was that we were a criminal stuck in purgatory, we thought that all of the secrets of FNAF could be unlocked using the game's Custom Night, where you'd set the characters to specific levels and see if you could make it through. However, one such suggestion, the 666 suggestion, was not in fact the case. By setting the latter 3 animatronics to level 6, it was rumored that the kitchen camera would be unlocked, and you'd have audio as well as visual this time around. But that turned out to simply just not be the case, because, well, if you look at the game files, there is no visual for the kitchen cam, meaning that no matter what, unless you added a version of it yourself, there would be no way to unlock that camera. And this wasn't the only time we'd end up getting trolled by FNAF 1's Custom Night, but more on that a whole kerfuffle later on. Fun fact, kerfuffle was what I named my first Club Penguin puffle. And at 9, Fazland. Way back in the day, a fake Twitter Scott Cawthon ended up releasing images about a new Fazland amusement park that was supposedly in the works around the time that FNAF 3 was coming out or being announced, or it was supposed to be the location of FNAF 3, one of those. However, this was obviously a hoax, and we never ended up getting a Fazbear Entertainment amusement park in real life or in a game, which, looking at the events of Security Breach, is probably a good thing, in all honesty. I think that this whole Fazland thing might have also been the inspiration behind the abandoned fan game Sinister Turmoil, or at least indirect inspiration, since that game was planned on taking place in a Fazbear themed amusement park as far as I can tell from the trailer. And I mean, we've also made videos about the subject, with our series about a real pizzeria, and then like the top 10 attractions we'd want to see at the FNAF amusement park. Those were fun. That one was Amanda's idea, actually. But either way, it's certainly something that was believable then, and honestly, still believable now. But if it gets announced again, I'm gonna be taking it with a grain of salt. And at 8, Chrome Freddy. A YouTuber named Jimpathy posted a video called FNAF 3 Chrome Freddy Animatronic Easter Egg, Secret Five Nights at Freddy 3's Easter Egg. That's a great title. The YouTuber found a mysterious animatronic called Chrome Freddy. The color of the animatronic is silver, gold, copper with like a darkish green, lime green, just green. And it has black eyes with white glowing pupils. Sure, it does look real, but there was 3 things that made this Chrome Freddy fake. Number 1, there was no light. Number 2, it had no shadow, and 3, it's endoskeleton. The endoskeleton had no black like tube pipes on it, and it was really the original Freddy Fazbear model from FNAF 1. And it had no endoskeleton jaw in its mouth, while Chrome Freddy did have one, okay? Chrome Freddy was 100% fake. No character exists in the game files for FNAF 3, and the video was just posted as a joke. Jimpathy made the video because he thought it was funny, not because he thought it was real or something like that. It's like the same thing when way back in college I claimed that I had a copy of Elder Scrolls 6 and made a fake game cover and to make a joke video and stuff, okay? It was just for fun, okay? And so is this Chrome Freddy video. I doubt he figured it would blow up as much as it did and that people would think that it's real. It seemed very sarcastic when I was watching it though. And in 7, 2023 location. In our series of videos about how a real FNAF location could happen, it was capstoned with the video about the secret plan for a FNAF location. Secret plan. Where I proposed that perhaps in 2023 we'd end up getting a real, actual like FNAF pizzeria. This was solely based on the idea that FNAF 3 takes place in 2023, or at least currently that's what I still believe until we end up getting proof that it doesn't. However, it's time I come clean. That video was just an idea. It wasn't a theory. There is no actual evidence behind it. I merely suggested it because I'm a pathological liar and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. But really, it wasn't really a theory or something. Like, it's not something that I thought was going to happen, but it was certainly at least technically possible. I seriously still think that a pizzeria that would end up being creepy after like 9 p.m. like for adults after 9 would be incredibly cool and would make absolute bank. Like, I might have to do that with non-FNAF characters just because that's an awesome idea. And at 6, Tater the Waiter Gator. Tater the Waiter Gator was a fan-made character that was made just for fun. However, the fake Scott that also did the whole fake Fazland thing took the model to Twitter claiming that they were a new animatronic. This guy was a real menace back in the day, holy damn. And while it was indeed a joke, the appearance of an alligator face in the FNAF 3 Happiest Day minigame made people reconsider the canonicity of Tater the Waiter Gator. I love saying that. I love saying that. It's so good. Tater the Waiter Gator. Okay, but the thing is, he isn't and was never canon. And the alligator character got explained away with Montgomery Gator, who luckily is not a waiter. He's a golfer and apparently an assassin. We better get to solve the whole Monty killed Bonnie thing in the FNAF DLC, or So help me, I'm actually going to cry. Okay, I won't cry, but like I'll definitely be disappointed in the quality of FNAF DLCs that we get if this isn't a thing. There's a multiplayer mode mod, right? So you might as well add it officially so it isn't absolute garbage, in my opinion, right? Right? Halfway through into number 5, Mrs. Afton death. The story of Mrs. Afton is, if there even is one, is a mystery that we've been debating for ages. A story that hasn't had a slight amount of explanation, okay? No references, no mention of an actual name, nothing. So naturally, there are theories about it. However, these theories have no actual base in-game lore, and instead focus on a FNAF fan animated music video and stories that are treated as canon and sometimes heavily so, to the point where I've gotten plenty of people getting mad at me in my Instagram DMs. The truth is, we have no idea what happened to Mrs. Afton, currently. We don't even know if there really was a Mrs. Afton or if it was just like a baby mama, or if William ended up having a surrogate so that he could have children on his own. Like, hell, his kids may just be adopted, like Courtney and Jackson from The Tempest by Julie Cross, which is actually my favorite book, and you should read it. Except FNAF is without the whole time travel thing. In the games, in the books, there's time travel now. But either way, for some reason, I don't know why, but like, I don't know what video caused this to pick up, but a load of people think that Mrs. Afton died in a car accident. I mean, it's certainly a possibility, but that doesn't mean that it's canon. There are also others that think that William killed her, or that she just left him because she found out what he was into, but then for some reason left his prime demographic with him. Others think that she offed herself, others think that her leaving is the reason he started killing, and others think that she just died in a plane crash. All are equally possible, but nothing is actually canon. In at 4, Real Pizzeria. Before the release of FNAF 4, Scott Cawthon's website was littered with references to the numbers 8 and 7 in the source code. This caused many fans and even dear old MatPat to think that these were references to the year 1987, where the famous frontal lobe bite occurred, and even caused a whole lot of problems when the game was released. However, other fans believed these were coordinates, so after plugging them into Google Maps somehow, which I honestly don't understand how you would have done that, but like, whatever. I tried to put the numbers in and it just didn't work, so I don't know how they got to this, okay? But after putting them into Google Maps, they found the location that it was giving them, and it was an actual real-world pizzeria. Obviously, once this got shared, fans of the franchise started harassing the place trying to get answers. And while it was all one big coincidence, someone might have caught on before. Kathy Blockus reviewed the pizzeria, saying the robots kill people. I saw a robot fox killing a kid in there before. Run for your lives out there. This was 3 weeks before FNAF 4 was actually like announced, which is when all the 8s and 7s appeared on the website. So while this is incriminating for the pizzeria, Kathy also left 5 stars on her review, so either they're into some really weird stuff or they're just a fan of the franchise. Hopefully they're a fan. Getting close to the end, to number 3, Sparky the dog. In the early days of the game's lifespan, someone began to spread rumors about a hidden 6th animatronic named Sparky the dog. Sure enough, screenshots began to pop up on Tumblr, because you know Tumblr is the most trustworthy. Reportedly, Sparky the one-armed dog was non-violent and would never attack the player, only appearing occasionally in the backstage doorway. However, it was eventually revealed as a hoax by the creators, Tumblr users CodeIbear and Gwen, with all the screenshots obviously being photoshopped. Did you ever actually think that Sparky was real? I didn't even know that this was a thing at the time. At this point, my knowledge of FNAF was limited to what MatPat said, because I was terrified of anything horror related. Even the Eddie Brock becoming Venom scene in Spider-Man 3 was terrifying to little me. To be fair, my parents also wouldn't let me watch anything remotely scary, and as a kid I had a dream that a zombie popped his face up right next to my bed while I was sleeping, and then I ended up punching my side table. But yeah, I don't remember this. But it was a thing, it was a thing. Penultimately, in at number 2, 1987 ending. I feel terrible for the poor sucker who figured this one out first, alright? At the end of every FNAF game, there's a bonus night that gives you more lore clues and more scares, but after beating it, you unlock a 7th night where you can customize the animatronics and give them specific levels to see how hard you can make it through, like I was explaining with the 666 rumor. However, if you were to do this in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, you'd obviously be looking for more clues, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. in the first place, which would later become an incredible series of games that were just even more confusing. But if you tried to solve this by being a little bit sneaky and inputting the animatronic levels to be 1987, the year of the infamous bite of 87, you end up getting instantly jump scared by Golden Freddy, which, while hilarious, is still creepy and unexpected, especially since everyone was saying that Scott intended this to be how he found out. So people were putting it in. So Scott updated the game to make it jump scare you with Golden Freddy. I get that Scott wanted to shut the rumors down and stuff, but like, why couldn't it just have been a normal night? What if someone wanted to use those levels for no reason other than to see if they could actually make it, and then boom, they get spooked by Golden Freddy? It's kind of rude, but also that's probably one of the scariest jump scares if you don't expect it. Because like, I don't know, why wouldn't the game just actually load like every other level setting? And finally, in at number 1, the Purple Guy animatronic. The Purple Guy animatronic legend is an urban legend revolving around the 2014 Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Yeah, that's right, because they both came out in 2014. In early 2015, though, a YouTube video surfaced that reportedly showed a hidden animatronic, reported to be the Purple Guy, the main antagonist of the franchise, who would later come to be known as William Afton. The appearance of the purple animatronic was preceded by phone ringing, and then after the phone rang, the purple animatronic briefly flashed on screen, slumped against the wall of the office in a manner similar to Golden Freddy. However, it was soon revealed that the animatronic was simply a photoshopped image of Golden Freddy with a purple color scheme and then Toy Chica's head. And I think that it's pretty obvious that it was photoshopped. Like, I mean, we've used the image in a couple thumbnails, like every now and again, but no character actually ever like showed up in the game. If there was a Purple Guy animatronic, it wouldn't be reused assets either. Like, come on, people. I know it was 2015 and a 2014 game, but still, come on. And at 10, the Bite of 87. The Bite of 87 is one of the most mysterious moments in the entire FNAF series, and it was introduced in the first game. So we've been dealing with this thing for like nearly 10 years. Being introduced into the series in FNAF 1 from 2014, the Bite of 87 has remained one of the most debated points in FNAF history, and we can't quite agree on what happened. At first, we thought it was Golden Freddy who caused the bite, then Normal Freddy, then Mangle, then Fredbear, then Toy Chica, then back to Mangle, and everyone has their different opinion on the subject. But for some reason, people also think that it's confirmed that the Bite of 83 from FNAF 4 is the Bite of 87. Which it isn't. And if you look up Bite of 87 on Google, you get pictures of the bite from FNAF 4, which is in 1983, which is, as I'm sure you can tell, confusing for our editors. I'm sure that you're seeing pictures of the incident now, honestly. Like, the Bite of 87 and 83 have been confused for ages, and they're still being confused to this day. Mostly because of Markiplier asking if that was the Bite of 87. Honestly, it's kind of frightening based on how many people get mad at me because I go against something MatPat said, but then also tell me that I'm wrong, that it's the Bite of 83, not 87, even though I agree with MatPat on that point. And at 9, the 2-eye theory. The 2-eye theory states that in FNAF 3's bad ending, there are 2 eyes lit up in the head and the back, which we assume to be Golden Freddy, to show that there are 2 souls inside the animatronic. This isn't the case, okay, and I'm just gonna tell you why. Firstly, it would be more difficult to tell that it was an animatronic head in the back if there was only 1 eye lit up, since all we see of this head are the eyes. And the second eye being lit up could very well just be a reflection from the first light, since it's so dark. Notice how Freddy also has light coming out of his other eye, but he doesn't have a second soul. Secondly, Crying Child wasn't introduced into the series yet, not coming until the next game that wasn't even going to happen until the community was disappointed in the Springtrap jump scare. Since this was supposed to be the end of the series, that's why we released the Souls in the Happiest Day minigame. Also notice that only 1 person wears a Golden Freddy mask in that minigame, and according to the official Freddy Files Updated Edition book, quote, you'll see an image of broken animatronics heads, each with a lit eye. Meaning that Golden Freddy in the back only has 1 eye lit. And considering how this is the official guidebook to the series, we kinda need to take it as law. And at 8, Sparky the dog. In the early days of the first game's lifespan, someone began to spread rumors online about a hidden 6th animatronic named Sparky the dog. Sure enough, screenshots began to crop up on Tumblr of this secret animatronic. Of course it was Tumblr. Reportedly, Sparky the one-armed dog was a non-violent animatronic and would never attack the player, only appearing occasionally in the backstage doorway, hence why we never saw them. However, it was eventually revealed as a hoax by the creators, Tumblr users Kodaibear and Win, with all the screenshots being photoshopped. I mean, I feel like that would have been pretty obvious, but I don't know. Did you ever think that Sparky was real? Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, at this point, my knowledge of FNAF was limited to exactly what MatPat said because I was terrified of anything horror related. Yeah, like even the Eddie Brock becoming Venom scene in Spider-Man 3 was terrifying. But yeah, I mean, I played it. I played FNAF 1 on like the bus home from school, but I did it muted, so I didn't have to deal with the jump scares. Okay? There was a girl sitting next to me. I felt pretty badass. And it's 7 fan games. There have been multiple instances of people in the comments using points or story elements from FNAF fan games to try to prove my theories wrong. For example, a while ago, a YouTube user commented saying that Vanny's mask appears in a fan game called Aftermath. So my statement of her mask appearing in a DLC to a game that's meant to look back on past tragedies of the franchise, and that could mean that she's from the past, would have been false, even though Aftermath is a fan game that has no canonicity in the main series, which I don't understand because, like, why would you try and use a fan game to prove me wrong? Like, on a video that has nothing to do with that theory, no less. Like, he didn't even comment it on that video. He commented it on another video. Someone else even commented on yet another video where I included fan characters for context, since the main series didn't have 10, where they said fan games don't count since they're non-canon and are in a different universe. Which was trying to be a dig at me for using fan characters, but since there aren't 10 Springlock victims in the actual FNAF series, in the books or the games combined, I kinda had to. But this only supports my point. If I can't use fan games in a list, which I can because it's my list, you can't use fan games as evidence for a theory, and I don't do that either. And at 6, Cassidy. In my personal opinion, I think the idea that Cassidy is the one you should not have killed is wrong, okay? Here come the comments. I know what's gonna happen. In my head, okay, there is way more evidence for Crying Child being the one you should not have killed. If you're interested in the reasoning for that, to actually see if I may have a point instead of just getting mad right away, please go check out that video. It's linked up in the iCard, either now or later. However, the main reason I believe it's Crying Child, aside from the rest of the evidence, is because William would have been the only one around for Crying Child to possess when he dies in the hospital. Cassidy was around the Golden Freddy animatronic, but unless William brought his work with him to the hospital, which is highly unlikely given the fact that his child's head was crushed in 1983, possibly before Golden Freddy was even created. So reasonably, if Crying Child was going to possess someone, it would end up being William. He would then come to see the horrible acts his father would commit 2 years later, and then intend on keeping him alive so that he could suffer for them. Since in the end, it was William's fault that Crying Child died, since he had superpowered Fredbear's jaw, again, which is the only thing that makes sense. It's a mistake not to consider that a possibility, but I can already hear the comments now. Halfway through into number 5, Dead Afton. Okay, here we go again. There's gonna be so many mad comments on this video. William Afton didn't die in the spring locking incident that we see in FNAF 3's 8-bit minigames, okay? He didn't. I know there are still plenty of people who think that he did die, but he didn't. MatPat even said it himself, since the majority of people who are saying this are also the ones who say I'm wrong because MatPat said whatever, okay? He said in one of his FNAF 3 or 4 timeline theories or something that to note that you don't see William die in the suit, okay? You see him convulsing because of the spring locking and then twitching, but he never stops moving. And thanks to the man in room 1280, we know that William was being kept alive by the spirit of one of his victims that the book calls Andrew, but the game's called The One You Should Not Have Killed. And we know that these are meant to help fill in blanks from the past, thanks to a Reddit post from Scott from 2020 saying, "Let me at least say this, future games will look forward, but the novels will fill in some blanks from the past." So this book single-handedly gives us a reason as to how William survived all those years other than Remnant, okay? The One You Should Not Have Killed was possessing him, and might still be. We don't know. And at 4, Princess Quest. According to one very adamant viewer during my recent 24-hour live stream, okay, there's a theory going around that MatPat also talked about, now that everyone seems to believe, because again, MatPat talked about it, that the princess in Princess Quest is actually meant to be Cassidy. And while I don't agree with this theory, it's still a theory nonetheless, so I'll talk about it. I'll give its little moment here. This theory generates from some apparent files within one of the games, guessing that it would have been security breach since there are 3 Princess Quest games in that one compared to the FNAF VR mobile version where there's only 1. But apparently, according to this viewer, those files indicate that the actual name of the character is Cassidy. I don't know how they really indicate that, and I mean, like, I don't know how anyone found that. They wouldn't really elaborate. They just kept spamming that it was Cassidy, despite me saying that I don't care about that, because that's clearly not the case in my opinion, because like if you think about it, in the first Princess Quest game, that's when you get trapped by Glitch Trap, right? That's when you get possessed by Glitch Trap, and then you spend the next 2 games trying to break free. Like, the only reason I'd believe that it's Cassidy is for purely symbolic reasons, since Cassidy is trying to torture William, at least if they are the one you should not have killed, which again, I don't believe, which would end up giving her motive to free Vanessa from William's control. But that's the only reasoning that I'd be able to, like, think for this theory, which makes it seem more like a hypothesis to me. And again, we get captured by Glitch Trap in the first game, which clearly indicates that it's actually Vanessa. And honestly, this could be what Vanessa's doing in her head. Okay? Like, this is when Vanny's taken over and Vanessa's not in control, this could be what Vanessa's doing, trying to fight back, okay? Getting close to the end, and in number 3, Mrs. Afton death. The story of Mrs. Afton, if there even is one, is a mystery that we've been debating for ages. A story that hasn't even had a slight amount of explanation, okay? No references, no mention of an actual name, nothing. So naturally, there are theories about it. However, these theories have no actual base in-game lore and instead focus on FNAF animated music videos for the most part, and stories that are treated as canon and sometimes scarily heavily so. The truth is, okay, we have no idea what happened to Mrs. Afton currently. We don't know if there even was a Mrs. Afton, or if it was just a baby mama, or if William had like a surrogate so that he could have his own children and just paid some woman to have his kid. Hell, okay, these kids may just be adopted for all we know. Either way, for some reason, and I don't know what video really caused this to pick up, a load of people think that Mrs. Afton died in a car accident and then is now possessing Ballora. I mean, it's a possibility, certainly, but that doesn't mean that it's canon. This is still a problem to this day, with many people just a couple of days ago trying to tell me what happened, mostly treating their statements as fact. A couple examples, if I may. Quote, William killed Mrs. Afton, he stuffed her body into Ballora. Or, William Afton killed Mrs. Afton and Mrs. Afton now is Ballora in sister location. And Mrs. Afton is Ballora now though. That last one was meant to be a fact. Like, there is no interpreting it otherwise. They intended that on being like a correction. All of these are equally possible, okay, but nothing is actually canon. And as far as we know for certain, Baby is the only possessed sister location animatronic. And I think that the fact that there's so much fighting against what actually happened to Mrs. Afton indicates that none of this is true. The other animatronics may have like the remnant in them from the original Missing Children robots, but that's it. A Ballora themed staff robot being present at a table in Security Breach only means that Ballora was meant to represent the mother, not that she possesses the animatronic. Are we saying that like William is possessing the staff bot and so is Crying Child? And yeah, no, we're not. So like, she's not possessing Ballora. That's not a thing. Ballora isn't possessed. Penultimately, into number 2, character names. The names of various characters over the years have remained mysterious. Sometimes they don't have a name, other times an alias like the purple guy, or other times they just get random names decided by the community. However, in all of these instances, they don't end up actually being canon. And something I've noticed a lot in the comments is the misuse of names that either have no origin or very weak origins and people believing them to be canon. One of the best examples right now is Crying Child and Mrs. Afton. Crying Child currently has 2 names that are really being used, Evan and Chris, although now there might even be Gregory, which is a whole other can of worms. But none of those names are canon, okay? And only one of them is an actual theory, and not even a strong theory at that. So far, they've only been able to find E, V, and A, and not the N in any solid fashion. And the whole Clara Afton thing is just very outlandish to me. Just because there's a name doesn't mean it belongs to someone, okay? Does that mean that like Crying Child's name is Vlad because the purple character was named Vlad, or is that William's new name? Like, no, guys, come on. Look, if you're going to apply those rules to Clara, you have to find someone who's named Vlad. Alright, that's the rules. And finally, in number 1, origins. Going along with the whole we don't know anything about Mrs. Afton thing, or names are being misused, we don't really know why Afton decided to start killing people. And more particularly, kids specifically. He could just be your good old run-of-the-mill psychopath, but some people assume that it's because his kids died. However, that is literally impossible, since his kids died as a direct result of him wanting to kill other kids. Elizabeth dies thanks to getting scooped by Baby that was specifically designed for that purpose. And Crying Child died after Elizabeth and as a result of an animatronic with too much bark in that bite. Since like I've been saying in other videos for ages, there were no spring locks that could have failed in the mouth since it was already in suit mode, so all the spring locks had been released. Also, there'd be no spring locks in the mouth because it's an open mouth. So his children died as a direct result of him wanting to kill kids. It could have been that when his wife or baby mama or whatever Mrs. Afton was left him, that's what caused him to trigger, but we can't know that for sure. The truth is, we really have nothing to go off of as to reasons why William started killing, because it wasn't because of possession or his kids, because he doesn't learn about those until after he starts wanting to kill people, okay? Maybe a Fazbear Frights book will let us know when like the 12th one comes out with all the discarded ones. I don't know.